Guys, here's a link to my YouTube live. Hello? Hello, can you hear me, guys? Hello? Hello, can you hear me, guys? Yeah, if not, please let me know. I'm here at Portland. So you guys, I'm here at Portland. Ha 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 ha. Huh? Oh. Ha 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 ha. Ho 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 ho. The class will begin in 10 minutes, so I just trying to see if you guys can hear me. If there's any problem, okay? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Because I actually started like live stream 20 minutes ago, and I'm just thinking about, yeah, if there's any issue, so I can fix that. So it seems like it is okay. I don't know. Anyways, so guys, I'll just for the slides, please download it from the Moodle. Okay. Good, cool, very cool. Nice. All right. I think the slides are on. Please come and download slides from week 14 on Moodle. All right, I'm drink some water. Okay. I think please relax, and I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Yeah. Back. All right, back on track. So please. All right, class will begin in 2 minutes. I turn this off so there will be no notification. We're going to look at negative emotion first, wrap it up, before we dive into the positive emotion. If you haven't got, if any of you could not really log into Moodle, please, I'm sending out a message. So hopefully you guys will get some message from your email box. Thanks for logging into this class, and I think we have 5 of you are online now. So hopefully we have more people. So today we are actually gonna wrap up the negative emotion, and then we'll probably start with our positive emotion. And since I could not really present my PowerPoint slides over the live streaming. I hope you guys could download the PowerPoints from Moodle. So please download the PowerPoint slides at the topic of week 14. So basically, I have two slides, one for negative emotion, the other for positive emotion. Please download both slides. I will really appreciate that. Sorry. So I'm wondering if you guys got like email like in your like Cal State LA email address saying that I have a link for you. Do any of you have received that? Please let me know if you haven't. Yes. All right, we have 12 people. That's great. Thank you guys for going online. Just repeat little bit notification. So we are looking into this kind of negative emotion in the first place. So please download both slides, negative emotion, positive emotion from week 14. Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you for those who received the email. Nice. Give it a thumb up. Okay, let's start. So we're gonna have what we call the positive emotion. Oh, sorry, the negative emotion. So we actually, on this negative emotion slide, we actually talked about all the basic negative emotions, including anger, sadness, disgust, and contempt. So now we are looking at the slide 13. Please go to slide 13. Right, 13. Okay, let's start with slide 13. So now we're looking at self-consciousness emotion. So what does this mean to have self-conscious emotion? Basically, this type of emotion is depends upon how you think about yourself or how you think about the behavior that yourself is responsible for. So it's important to look at the like mm, like how you think about yourself, evaluate your behavior, compare yourself with a moral standard, such as whether you probably wouldn't know whether you are gonna be able to like complete your task or like be in line with the social expectations. So in this sense, we have different emotions such as shame, guilt, and embarrassment. And for the shame and guilt, they're very similar because you probably think about yourself, your behavior is not in line with what expected from you. And however, the embarrassment is a little bit different because this comes from the situation where you think about, oh, I probably did something wrong. I showed my incompetences and so forth. So let's look at like those emotions in more detail. Let's look at the slide 14. So for shame emotion, actually shame comes from the violation of your moral and competency standards. So shame basically creates kind of a perception of an inferior or damaged self. So basic function for shame is trying to for you to protect yourself because you see that your behavior probably is immoral or you show something very bad to others and think you believe that your self-image is damaged, so you probably want to protect yourself by showing the emotion of shame. Also, shame can motivate people to restore the self because to fix the self that they damaged. So it's important to look at how shame works. So let's go to the slide 15. It basically shows a model, a very nice model of how the shame comes from and how does it work to help us restore or protect ourselves. So when we see some like show something such as incompetences, like you failed a test or you or you did something wrong and or you like committed something that is immoral, like when you go to a free food place where where you have to sit down listen to the talk and enjoy the free food. However, there's some situation where people just grab the food and forget about this lecture and go back home. So in that situation, probably something is illegal or sorry, immoral over there, and people will actually see themselves as kind of inferior to others because they're following behind the moral standard, and they might feel that their self is damaged, and they might feel that they are kind of have like low level self worth. So people would feel shame out of the very terrible negative evaluation of themselves. Then feeling shame will motivate people to protect or restore the self. However, it sometimes takes very like a lot of effort to fix yourself because um, it's really hard. So it's really hard for people to do because sometimes difficult is kind of risky, and also the behavior actually taken place in the past. So you sometimes cannot really repair yourself because things just happened. You cannot go back. So like the more realistic thing for the shame is probably would be to just protect yourself by avoiding seeing others, avoiding having on eye contact with others, hide yourself from the situation. Just walk away. So this is how shame works. So shame actually motivates people to protect the self and restore the self because a lot of realistic issues you cannot really restore the self very effectively. So it's probably better to hide yourself from others. So this is basically how the shame work. And in contrast, that guilt is another type of emotion that arises from is your behavior rather than yourself. So when you feel guilty, you feel guilty of your own behavior, not for your own self. So this is a key difference between shame and guilty. Guilt means your behavior probably was wrong, but the shame because yourself is evaluated as kind of very bad or worthless. So you think that yourself is terrible, and you want to protect yourself. But the guilt is something that comes from your behavior, how you see your own behavior, right? So the function of the guilt is kind of interesting. It's kind of more barometer of one's behavior. So you try to evaluate whether your behavior is kind of towards the moral standard or not. And also guilt motivates people to change their behavior, to make them like work better. Also, it might all can help undo the distress if there is any like thing that caused by the behavior. So when you feel guilt about what you do, what you did, you probably would make change later in a similar situations. And if you like make people unhappy and by trying to change the behavior and to make other people feel more comfortable. So guilt is kind of related to like other emotions like empathy and perspective taking because guilt requires that you see your behavior from others perspective. So guilt is just not another difference between guilt and shame. So just try to repeat the difference between guilt and shame. So shame is about like people is like negative evaluations of themselves, but guilt is about the negative evaluation of their own behavior. So it's important to know that guilt is something that you see your behavior is not good. And how do you know that? You probably have to take others' perspectives and then you know, oh, I'm probably doing something wrong, and you probably want to change your behavior. How do you want to change behavior? You have to look at how others like how others would think about your behavior. Sometimes, for example, like for the same situation where you go to a talk where there's free food and people just give out the food for free, and you are supposed to have the food and listen to the speakers, but your behavior was kind of like just leave with the food. So you went home and think about and sit down and try to enjoy your free food. But if you feel guilty of your like kind of stealing the food, you might think about, oh, others in the kind of event will probably have less food because I stole their food, and you might think, oh, others might feel very disappointed of my stealing the food. So in this situation, you feel kind of sense of guilt. It is coming from how you think about your behavior from others' perspective. So you might also show empathy towards them, and you might feel guilty. So you might want to change the behavior, or by going back to the talk, or try to not to steal food the next time you go to a event with free food. So this is basically how the guilt works. So guilt and shame are very similar, but they are a little bit different. The key difference is where they come from. Shame comes from the negative evaluation of yourself. It's a global evaluation, but guilt comes from your evaluations on your behavior. It's very specific. It's coming from how you see your behavior from others' perspective. Okay, this is about guilt. Sorry, guys, I haven't taken any role yet, but I see there are 22 people online, which is over 50%. And I saw two thumbs up. Thank you guys so much. And I'll probably take the role later. So please stay online, stay in tuned, and let's move on to slide 17. Yeah. Okay, slide 17. Embarrassment. We're looking at embarrassment right now. So after finished the guilt and the shame, they're actually the key self-consciousness emotions that are kind of in a negative route. And embarrassment is another one. So embarrassment comes from you expecting something like negative evaluations, negative comments made by others, or you after you make some mistake. You have to like bear in mind that you believe that your mistake is made publicly, so others will know it. However, if you like make kind of mistake privately, like you just damage the kind of the shower faucet at your own bathroom, and nobody was looking at you when you damaged that, because I assume nobody would just run into your bathroom, right? So in this situation, you probably want to feel embarrassment. So embarrassment is something you anticipate, like negative evaluation by others when you see your behavior or mistakes or actually observed by others. So it is also like hits the negative evaluation of yourself, like the feeling of shame. So the key difference is that embarrassment comes from your anticipation rather than your evaluation of yourself. So embarrassment comes from you kind of expecting that yourself is going to be negatively evaluated by others. However, the emotion of shame comes from the real negative evaluation yourself. It's not just an anticipation, but embarrassment is about anticipation about something that hasn't happened yet. So the function of embarrassment is actually it comes to threefold. So if you feel embarrassed, you probably tend to show facial expression like this, oh sorry, or you probably would oh no, look like this. You won't like have direct eye contact with any other individuals. You'll probably avoid eye contacting, look down a little bit, maybe you'll use your hand to touch your head. So embarrassed actually try to communicate to others who saw you were making mistake, try to make them happy, make them less angry, and it also helps you to repair the negative self impression. And other than that, uh, embarrassment actually helps you to tell others, saying that sorry, I won't make this mistake again. So to make other people happy, to promise, communicate that you won't make this silly mistake. And research shows that expressing of embarrassment during social settings can is like most often time can be very, very effective. So embarrassment is kind of negative emotion, but it's really functional. It helps smooth the interaction between different individuals. It can make you feel better if you like make mistake, and it also helps you to be to repair the relationship, repair your self impression in others, to build up like more positive impressions. So embarrassing sounds bad, but it can be really functional if you make a mistake and that is observed by someone else. All right. So shame, guilt, and embarrassment are three very important self-consciousness emotions that are negative. So now we finished both the basic emotions and self-conscious emotions that are negative. And then we're gonna look at like the more complicated, what they call cognitive complex emotions. I saw the question. I think Salvador, you asked a very good question. I think there's actually a difference. Yeah. So embarrassment actually is happens in a more public settings, right? And but that depends on how other people's relate to you. So if you don't really care about a random people, you probably won't feel very bad even if you make mistakes. So you won't experience like a like large degree in terms of embarrassment. However, if you like care about the friends and care about your impression of your friends. So you care about how they see you, how your friends see you. Then you might feel very high level of embarrassment if you make mistakes in front of them. So the key things here is whether you see others are important to you, and whether you see the impression that others have will is important or not. So if you think that other people are who observed your mistakes are very important to you, and also you think what they think about you, what they evaluate you is very important. So in this case, you will anticipate kind of negative evaluation from them following your own mistake. So you will feel very embarrassed. However, if you don't care about the other people, whether it's a friend or it's random people, or you don't really care about their the impression they have about you, so you don't care how like kind of random guy or think about you, or you don't care about how your friends think about you, you just want to be yourself, then you probably won't feel embarrassment. So yeah, so I think you are asking a very good question. The embarrassment depends on your relationship with others, how much you care about your impression of others. Does that make sense, Salvador? We can talk about that later, but this is because of time. I have to move on to cognitive complex emotions. All right, let's look at the slide 18. Uh, cool. So, cognitive complex emotions. We have actually four emotions: envy, disappointment, regret, and Schadenfreude. So, when we think about envy, yes, this is kind of really negative, but it serves a kind of social function, because envy is something that you believe that someone has an advantage over you, someone is better than you, and maybe because they're smarter, they have like more money, they're more lucky. So when you feel envy, it actually has like both positive side and negative side at the same time. Envy is like a double-edged sword. So at the good side of it, you probably would believe that feeling envy is helpful because it won't work harder to make you like as at least at the same level as the someone you compare with until you feel envy. Envy is kind of motivating you to like work very hard, so you probably raise yourself to the level of others. So this is what we call the benign envy. However, if your envy goes to the dark side, which is what we call the malicious envy, it just basically you try not to work hard very much. You just try to bring the other people down, bring them down to your own current status quo. So, for example, if you are like not very rich, you want to probably if imagine if you think about it, you hate like those billionaires, and then what you do if you have kind of benign envy, you probably will try yourself to make as much money as possible. However, if you're in a kind of malicious envy, you will probably just trying to like trying to like think about take every measures such that the billionaires will lose their all of their money and they'll become as poor as you. So envy is kind of a negative emotion. It comes from the social comparisons with what you have and what others have. And this kind of comparison will lead you to do some different things. So you might just go into the benign envy route and try to work very hard, or there's likelihood that probably will go to like the malicious envy route and it probably will just make others suffer. So they'll probably will be brought down to the level of yours. So it's basically the key point here is that envy is a social emotion. It's based on your comparison with other people. And actually, if you experience envy, you kind of have kind of painful experience caused by the because you see others are doing good, they have very good luck, and you kind of in comparison you probably believe that yourself is in a bad situation. So you might feel kind of painful like experience. So it's like a pain in your heart. And this kind of pain can motivate you to work harder or to try to do something evil to bring others down. So this is all about envy. And then let's go to slides 20. So that one is about disappointment and regression. And regret. Disappointment and regret as just like a couple of just a couple of very negative emotions. It comes from actually in your decision making process, and comes from like you didn't get comes to a situation where you don't have your desired outcome, or you set a goal but you didn't achieve it, so you probably will feel disappointed. However, if you feel like, oh no, I did something wrong, I should have done that, but I shouldn't do that, I shouldn't do this, and I should have done that. In that case, you might feel regret. So the key difference between disappointment and the regret is that when you feel disappointment, you feel that, oh, this is not really what I want. Something better must will happen in other situation. So you believe that your goal is not fulfilled, so there is something better like would be anticipated. So it's just not this is basically you feel, oh, this is not a want. So remember we talked about the self discrepancy theory like a couple of weeks ago when we talked about how self relates to motivation. So basic self discrepancy theory argues that when people see who they are is different from who they would like to be. And that is the actual ideal self discrepancy, the difference between the ideal self and the actual self. So if you see a huge difference between your ideal self and actual self, that means that you haven't been your ideal version of self yet. So in this case, you probably feel experience emotion like disappointment, this depression, and so forth. You won't feel very happy. So disappointment comes just into play by showing that something better must happen, but that didn't happen yet. So I feel very disappointed about this. And the function of it is just makes you to like deactivate yourself. So you won't be like that motivated for the ideal state or your goals. So you probably just sit back a little bit and try to accept the outcome. And you also can, a downside of it is kind of have a feeling of powerless and a lack of control. So disappointment actually kind of protects you from not getting those goals, but it also helps you to accept what you have. In contrast, regret is something that comes from your belief that I didn't act correctly last time. So I regret um, for example, going to bed really late last night because I have some beer and I was kind of a little bit. I was not sober when I went to bed. Imagine that was the case. So you probably would believe, oh, I should have go to bed earlier last night so I can get up early this morning to listen or to go to live stream on YouTube. So I think there's something better that I should have done, but I haven't done yet. And this has kind of negative consequence resulting in some desired end state and not existent at all. So regret is basically something that you think yourself you can do something, but you didn't do. So it actually motivates you to reverse what you have, try to reverse the negative outcomes, try to make things better, and it can be really functional because when you feel regret, next time you make the same decision, you will probably make like better decisions that you will feel less regret next time. So people will learn from the regret, feeling the regret, why they feel regret. So they learn that, oh, I should have done that, and they will probably do that next time if you feel a strong sense of regret. So this is a good side about regret, although regret is kind of negative. So basically, disappointment comes from something you haven't got, and for the regret, well, on the other hand, it's something that you believe you should have done but haven't done yet. So it helps you to make decision to do those stuffs that you haven't done. So this is about the disappointment and regret. And the last slide we have is Schadenfreude. Actually, this is a kind of German. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. If I was wrong, and please let me know. Um, yes, I saw Isaac posted on saying that anyone having connection issues. Could you guys all hear me clearly? Yes, please let me know if any questions or couldn't really hear clearly. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I'm so grateful you are here, and I'll take a role probably toward the end of the class. And great. I think that YouTube is doing a very good job in like broadcasting my voice. Although I don't look really good on the on the camera or webcam, but that's okay. So thank you, and let's go back to the last slides of negative emotions. So there's a shade of Freud, a kind of emotion comes from you see others like suffering, you see others in misfortune, and you just laugh at them. You just feel kind of evil, happy about others suffering. So it happens like in many cases, someone it happens to when people don't like the enemies, so they will see the enemies are really suffering, they will try to laugh about them. And other times might happen because you see yourself experience sense of kind of injustice or like lack of fairness, right? So when things like happen to others, they also experience something like that they're also treated unfairly or unjustified. You probably will also feel Schadenfreude. So it's just kind of negative emotion, and it doesn't really have any like positive side at all. So I think we have all finished all about those negative emotions, and just try to wrap up with the cognitive complex emotions. We have envy, disappointment, regret, and the shade of Freud. For the self-conscious emotions, the negative ones are shame, guilt, and embarrassment. For the negative emotions, in like basic negative emotions, we have fear, anger, disgust, contempt, and sadness. So for all these emotions, I think the key takeaways comes twofold. The first one is where do those emotions come from, and second one is what's the functions they serve. So, and another thing is to try to compare and contrast several emotions. So the key emotions are the difference between disappointment and regret, difference between shame and guilt, and I think that's all. So these are the emotions you want to compare with the shame and guilt, as well as the regret and disappointment. So now we're done with all the negative individual emotions. Then we switch gear to let's to what? To the positive emotions. So please open the slide of a positive emotion. So let's move to positive emotion. So yeah, we have positive emotion. Hopefully, I'll show more smiles than I talked about negative emotions. So then I'm gonna introduce positive emotion in terms of the same structure as I introduced negative emotion. What comes with the basic emotions, the self-conscious emotions, and what we call the cognitive complex emotions. So just try to reiterate the difference between these like categories of emotions. So basic emotions is something that everybody shares, even we share with the primates and other animals. And self-conscious emotions is kind of unique to human beings because humans are some and like the kind of species that's very unique because they have a sense of self. They know who they are. They know who they want to be, and self is very important. So the self-conscious emotions actually comes from how you see yourself. The last category of emotion is cognitive complex emotion. It comes from like cognitive processes. How you evaluate, how you appraise, how you attribute the situations to different reasons will have different influence on how you feel about yourself, how you feel and how you like experience. So basic emotions is universal. Self-consciousness is about yourself or your own behavior, while the cognitive complex emotion is about your thinking processes, your belief and anticipation, and so forth. All right, so basic emotion, the first one we'll talk about is joy. Yes, most of the basic emotions are negative, and they are very important for our adaptation to the environment because they always alert when there's something is wrong in your life, something wrong in your survival. We have to figure out how to deal with the environment, like fear, anger. They're all like negative, but they are very functional. So, but there is only two basic emotions that count as the positive in comparison to the negative basic emotions. So we have joy and interest. So joy is that let's look at the slide 3. Joy is something that arises from your experience of desirable outcomes. So joy, when you feel good, it may basically mean feel very good. So you might feel very good because you're getting closer to your goals, you're receiving some love from your partners or affections, you are falling in love, you feel joyful. And so the function of joy comes in the threefold. So first one is that it actually helps you to engage in social activities. So when you experience joy, the classic facial expression would be smile. Smile is kind of like a universal language that shows your initiative to start social interaction. So I was actually hang out with a bunch of scholars and students in a conference that I met, and we just did not know each other at all. But we shared like very interesting topic, and we're doing kind of very similar research. So we gathered together to go to a party after the conference. But I don't know anyone personally, so I just smile to them before I talk to them. Try to be really friendly and try to show I'm enjoy having conversation, having food and drinks with them. And that's just that kind of smile, the smile face was the one that has plays a big role in starting a conversation with them. So this kind of the feeling of joy by expression, your own feeling of joy can helps you to engage social activities, social interactions, communications better than if you don't talk with a joy or a smile face. Also, it's kind of soothing function. It makes you let your hair down. It makes you feel better and relaxed. And it also helps you to play and to have a kind of sense of creativity. So when people are like doing things, like try to doing things, and they feel very good about themselves, it's more likely for them to do things creatively than if they don't feel joyful. So after the joy, the second basic and positive emotion is interest. And bear in mind, this interest is the most prevalent positive basic emotion. So interest actually comes from your like anything new in your environment you've never seen before, the opportunities to gain new informations, the situations that involves your needs and well-being. As long as those situations are new to you. So the function of interest is as follows. So the first one is when you feel interested about something, you probably would be motivated to explore, to think about it, to evaluate it, and you probably will engage in the exploration. To tell, oh, this is I never seen this before. You probably will spend more time to figure out what is going on, and this helps you to acquire different knowledges, build up your skills, and this can be beneficial for your achievement, especially academic achievement. Think about it. If you like this kind of subject, you probably will spend more time on it. And after spend a lot of efforts in studying the subjects because of your interest in it, you probably kind of get really good grade. So one key takeaway here is that you want to have a good grades on something, try to take classes that you are really interested in. Or if you have ended up with taking classes that you were not very interested in the first place, try to be interested in that. So it's kind of tricky, but interest plays a big role. It makes you feel really really interesting. So you will be motivated to spend more time to explore it, to play around with it, and that will be helpful for you to gain knowledge and be beneficial for your academic achievement. Another function of interest serve would be replenish your personal resources. So when you feel not interested in doing anything, then you'll probably feel like, oh, you're just boring. And when you feel bored, your motivation will just go down. No matter you do anything, if you feel bored, you will be demotivated. So you will probably be motivated to withdraw from the task rather than to engage in. So I know some of you like wanna like study the engagement and present kind of engagement in the workplaces in the presentation time. So in that case, you guys can look at how interest is related to like engagement because there's some research shows that when people are highly interested in what you're doing, they show more like engagement. All right, joy and engagement. Joy is more towards social interaction, while interesting is more towards like your build up your knowledges, make you motivated to explore new stuffs. So these are all about the positive basic emotions, joy and interest. Now we're gonna move on to slide 5. Yeah, slide 5, self-conscious emotions, positive. So let me drink some. So we also have two emotions here, the self-conscious emotions. One is pride, the other is triumph. But just bear in mind that don't think triumph is that positive because it has a lot of downside. So like the emotions that we talk about in the negative emotions that we talk about, most of them are labeled as negative, but they are functionally can also be positive. And the same logic applies to the positive emotions. They even though like they have kind of positive valence, like the triumph is something I feel very good at pride. Pride is very good. You feel so good about yourself, but those emotions can have downsides. So emotion is like a kind of coin. It has two sides. So any emotion, whether they have positive or negative valence, they can be function. They can have good functions and bad functions. So let's dive into the pride. So pride comes from the success and achievement. It's a little bit like joy, but joy is basically comes from you see the things going, you see that you see that um, we could kind of expecting kind of desirable outcomes, like you get some respect, you receive some love, affection from others. But pride just specifically comes from you finish your goal and you were successful and you made a lot of achievement. So the joy can feel on the processes of getting your goal, but the pride cannot be felt until you are successful and you have achievements. So that's the key difference between joy and pride. This is because pride comes from your evaluation of yourself. Because when you experience success and achievement, you probably would evaluate yourself as really positive and really good. And in that case, you would feel pride. But joy doesn't require you to evaluate yourself as good. As long as see things going, as long as someone start to love you. As long as you receive some respect from others, you can experience joy. So this is the key difference. So there are two types of pride. First one is authentic pride. The second one is hubristic pride. So hubristic pride, or what we call arrogant pride, actually is kind of downside of pride. So we probably would like feel authentic pride a little bit more because this authentic pride is about, and I call this about the subjective experience of accomplishing, achieving, succeeding. I feel confident and being productive and fulfilled. So basically, you attribute your success, like your achievement, to your own internal, unstable, and controllable sources, and that is your own effort. So you see that your success comes from your own effort, you work very hard, and you are successful, you feel really proud of yourself. Yeah, this is my effort that worked. However, if you attribute your success and accomplishment to something that's our internal, stable, and uncontrollable, such as your personality traits, like your own predispositions, such as, oh, I'm a smart guy, and that's why I'm successful. That's why I made such a lot of achievement. If you think that way, you will feel experience come hubristic pride rather than the authentic pride. So so how can we experience authentic pride? Try to think about things in terms of how much effort you put, like your own contributions, your own ideas. It's your own ideas made the difference, your own effort that made the difference and made you successful. Then you feel authentic pride. However, if you see that, oh, it's myself, yeah, I'm terrific guy. So I made a lot of achievements. And if you think that way, you will experience tons of hubristic rather than authentic pride. So I think the authentic pride is something that's really good. You guys will all want to think about that. And when you feel authentic pride, you will be motivated to persist on your goals. But if you feel hubristic pride, and things get a little bit different. If you think about how it is myself. I'm a so smart person. I made a lot of achievement. Next time you probably won't work that hard because you think about your success comes from your own dispositions or your own idea. You're being a smart guy, and then that will prevent you from working very hard. So that's the downside of the pride. So basically, if you have authentic pride, it helps you to be motivated to persist and engage in more challenging events, activities later, because you think the challenge might be solved after you put a lot of effort into it. So this is all about pride. And let's move on to the next slide seven, which is triumph. It is about kind of victory in competition. So if you experience a victory, you will show others, yes, like showing faces, like your fists means like, oh, I win, I just won this. And you might also show that like thumbs up, like this kind of, those are gestures. And you probably also show that you're kind of strong, and you are kind of excited about your triumph, and you also want to show that you have kind of high social status because of your victory in competition. You defeated someone else, and you want to show them and including the audience that you are terrific. You are kind of dominant this field because you won the competition. So triumph is about victory in competition. It is kind of closer to hubristic than authentic pride because it actually shows can backfire because too much triumph will lead to a kind of aggression and dominant display. So you will display that you are dominating rather than you are just cooperating. So it's because you beat up someone, right? That makes sense. So triumph is a positive emotion comes out of victory. It serves as kind of help others to helps you to communicate to others that you are awesome and you are dominant. You show your dominating social status because of your victory in competition. And also the triumph signals that, mm, you guys shouldn't touch me. because I will beat you up. This is kind of information helps you to, excuse me, helps you to really protect yourself from attack. So it's also very important for survival in the like in the in the past is when people were living in the jungles, like you better beat it up the tiger, and the rest of the tiger probably would run away because you show you're dominating, like, and you show that you are like the terrific. So triumph is comes from victory and shows and express others, let them know how awesome you are, and let them know don't touch it. Okay, these are all about the self-conscious positive emotions. We have pride and triumph, but we need to distinguish the two different types of pride. There's authentic pride and hubristic pride. Okay, authentic pride comes from you attribute different attributions such as you attribute things to internal, unstable, and controllable stuff like your efforts. However, the hubristic pride comes from your attribution of your success towards something such as internal, stable, or uncontrollable stuffs. So I think the next class we're gonna talk about the cognitive complex emotions, and we will have gratitude, hope, empathy, and compassion. But since we have only a few moments left, I'm gonna just go over the gratitude. So this is gonna be the last slides for this class. We will leave the rest for the next class. And I think you guys all read the article about hope, right? So we'll have a kind of class activity about hope the next week. And so let's look at the slide 9 before I wrap this up, and I will make a roll call. Okay. So slide 9. So it's about gratitude. So gratitude is a kind of emotion that comes from your belief that you receive some gift from someone else, and gratitude is important for you. How to say? Gratitude is kind of serves as kind of detecting the benefits you receive from others. So when you feel very grateful towards others, you will be motivated to engage in pro-social behaviors to help us more because you you receive a lot of help from others and you feel grateful and you probably will help them reciprocally, or you start to help someone else. Like a lot of people started their like um, charity because they got like rich people made money from poor people by selling their products and they feel grateful for them. And then they probably will establish some charities to donate money to people who need those things. Although those people might not necessarily be their customers, who like spend money and make those people to be rich. So gratitude is something that comes out of your perception that you someone offer you help or offer a gift, and you see that how much how much the help cost others who offered you help. So it functions as kind of benefit detector. It reinforces the pro-social behavior, increase your possibility that you're gonna act in a kind of pro-social manner, so you will help others more, and also increases the positive view of the giver. So if you feel grateful to others, you will feel very nice, and you probably will in, like have a better relationship with others who helped you because you will like them more than if they do not give you any help or give you any gift. So the gifts, giving gifts to your friends, like your families, might be able to help you to like maintain a good relationship with others because of the feeling of gratitude. It helps you basically to help others more social behaviors, or try to have a positive view of others. So lastly, um, I'm just doing a very quick roll calling. Um, just sorry, my laptop is kind of going weird. Just give me 1 second. Can pull out the rows. So first one I wanna see is okay. Is Carissa here? Is Carissa here? Carissa. All right. How about let's switch this? So those who are please say yes or call your name out if you are online, okay? And leave your name on the chat on the chatting section. So I will take them down and put onto your attendance sheet. Does that make sense? So I'll just let you. Um, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, Isaac. Just do as Isaac does. If you come here, just type your name down. Yes. Nice. Thank you so much. Cool. Cool. Thank you, guys. So I'm trying to take them all the names down. So yeah, great. Thank you. Who is Pop and Lemonade? Interesting. Anyone else? Thank you. Oh yeah, that's fun. Thank you, Nate. So yes, I see. Let me count. How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. All right, guys. If you haven't leave your name on the comment section, please leave a name, and I will see you next week. All right. Thank you all for coming, and I believe I'm gonna enjoy Portland. And please come to the next classes you will have them, or if you don't have class, please enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much again for coming, and I really appreciate your time. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Bye. Yeah, before I disappear, I have to take down the rows, so it's gonna take me a few moments. But if you haven't leave your name, please leave your name on the comment or chatting session like everybody else did. So thank you all. Bye, guys. Just take. Be right back. Guys, and I have to go to conference in a moment. Bye.